In this video, we are going to look at more FTMO challenges and verifications. So once again, hello traders, I'm Simon from FTMO, and if you are new here, what we are doing is that we are funding traders that are able to pass our evaluation process. Today we are gonna look at 3 separate challenges and 3 separate verification accounts, so I guess that you already know the drill, so let's do this. The first challenge right here is for 140,000 British pounds, and straight away you can see that the graph is quite wild, but at the same time the spikes and the dips are not that huge, and that is of course because the number of trades is just 26. So this trader executed just 26 trades, which is not really a big number. Anyway, this challenge was finished in 10 trading days. The max daily loss was halfway there. The max loss is not even a problem, and the profit target is reached without any issue. So now, looking at the statistics, we can see that this trader executed, as I already said, 26 trades, using actually quite huge volume of 342 lots. Now, when I say it's huge volume, I mean it's quite high volume for me, but not necessarily for every trader and for every strategy. Anyway, you can see that the average risk reward ratio is really high. It's 2.43, and the win rate is 53%. Now, of course, we don't really know how these statistics would look like if this trader, for example, executed like 100 trades. But either way, if they were at the same level, it would be just awesome. In the daily summary, I can say that the volume is split nicely across all days, maybe with an exception of very few days, for example, these two. But other than that, most of the time this trader ended up his trading session or her trading session in a profit, which is very nice. And all that this trader is trading is just Forex. Of course, this is the last page of the trading journal. We don't have really that many pages. But anyway, this is just Forex for quite a huge volume. For example, British pound and Japanese yen right here. But what I really like is that most of the time this trader sets up those stop losses and take profits, maybe with an exception of these insignificant days. And we always like to see traders that are setting their stop losses and take profits because that way we know that they already know their plan. More profits were made on buying. Selling was actually not profitable in this case. There is net loss of minus 2,000 pounds. And the single most profitable instrument here is GJ, so British pound and Japanese yen. And that actually is gold, surprisingly, because we don't really see gold in here. But we do see Bitcoin, for example, but not really huge volume. But anyway, yeah, British pound, Japanese yen, then is gold, and some more Forex. So this is it for this account. What I really like about this particular account is that he or she sets up those stop losses and take profits up front, and that quite high average risk reward ratio. This account is for $200,000. Now this time it's a little more boring. It's not such a roller coaster because there are no huge spikes and dips, or at least not as many of them. There is just one spike, for example, right here. And that's it. And this time just 21 trades were executed. Still finished in 10 trading days. The max daily loss and max loss are not an issue here, and the profit target has $93 more than he or she was required to. So as I already said, just 21 trades using 250 lots. Now the average risk reward ratio is super high. So I don't necessarily think that we have seen such high risk reward ratio like ever. And even though the win rate is not really super high, it's just basically 40%, this is still super profitable. Now, what I don't really like here is that the volume is basically not split that evenly. It's basically split across just like 5 or 4 days, which isn't really great, but as long as it works, you know. So that's basically 250 lots split across 5 or 4 trading days, which is quite high per trading day. But, you know, as long as it works, it's all right. But I would personally prefer if it was split across all 10 trading days instead. Right here, we can see that most of the time this trader uses buys on Forex, and that is Australian dollar and US dollar, and Euro US dollar, and actually a little bit of Bitcoin, but not really huge volume here, and a little bit of silver actually. This is a pure day trader, and what I like here is that he sets up those stop losses and take profits, so that is always nice to see. This trader only buys, didn't use single short position, so that's quite interesting. And the single most profitable instrument is Australian dollar and US dollar. What is quite nice that all of the instruments are actually profitable. So, I mean, I would really like to know the strategy of this trader because it seems really interesting. But unfortunately, we don't really know strategy of our traders. So yeah. So once again, what I like here is that he or she sets up those stop losses and take profits, and obviously this super high average risk reward ratio, that's just great, and I hope that he or she keeps it up. Okay, so this is the last challenge that we are going to look at before we go on and proceed to verification accounts. This is for 40,000 euros, and the balance curve is actually way more interesting than the previous ones. Now, what I don't really like about this account is this quite high spike. Or at least I would say it's quite high. This is basically half of the entire profit target because that's 2,000 euro jump. But anyway, this trader finished without any issue and even made more than he was required to. So that's nice. Still finished in 10 trading days. The max daily loss was over 50%, but that's not an issue. The same with max loss, and the profit target is finished with 1,000 euros more than the trader was required to make. Executed 44 trades using 68 lots. So that's what I like, that's what I prefer. The average risk reward ratio is still very nice, it's almost 3, and the win rate is 56%. Now, when you look at the daily summary, it's kind of obvious right here that the profit target was basically finished on the first day of the trading period. But still, what I like about this account is that he or she kept on trading even though the profit target was already reached. Now in here, this trader trades just a bunch of stuff. He is not a pure day trader, and most of the time, or basically all of the time, he or she sets up those stop losses and take profits, which is quite nice. And he or she trades gold, some forex, and also a little bit of crypto, as far as I can see right here. Yeah. Most profits are definitely made on buying, not as much on selling. I am not even sure if these are profits or losses, but I would say that these are probably, judging from the graph. Well, I cannot really tell, but it's not really significant here. But certainly most of the profits are made on buying gold. So, you know, I would prefer if this was split more evenly across all the instruments, but perhaps it's a good thing that someone can specialize on a single instrument or at least very few instruments. But in this case, this trader trades plenty of instruments for some reason, but is only profitable really on just one. So I'm not sure if this was just like one huge, really profitable position or something like that. But either way, this trader finished the challenge without any issue. So of course, he or she, as with the previous two traders, will be in the verification phase. Now, speaking of verification phase, now let's look at them. So this is the first verification that we are going to look at. Now, judging from the graph, there are actually quite huge movements. I mean, basically from here to here, it's $1,700, which is kind of on the upper side. And at the same time, this trader executed just 24 trades. So when you are in the verification, I would say that you can really take your time and execute more trades, and you don't have to focus on just getting a small amount of trades that will get your profit target there, because you have entirety of 60 days to finish your verification. So you don't really have to rush. You don't have to really force some trades in to get that profit, because most likely you will have time to finish it without any issue. But either way, this trader took just 10 trading days, so maybe it was more risky than was necessary, but still finished it without any issue. Max daily loss, max loss are not an issue here. The profit target is finished without any issue. Now, of course, just a reminder, when you are in the verification phase, the profit target is just 5% instead of 10%, which is set on the challenge account. Anyway, in the statistics, just 24 trades using 70 lots. The average risk reward ratio is 2, the win rate is 54%. And regarding the daily summary, the volume is actually split quite nicely, at least during the first half of the trading period. During the first half of the trading period, there is some nice trading done, then not really, but at the end, last 2 days are still quite nice. So of course, as always, I would prefer if this trader didn't have these 2 particular trading days there, but what can you do? Now, what is quite interesting here is that there is just basically British pound and Australian dollar traded. These positions are not really significant at all. And this is, for the most part, I guess, still a day trader. And most of the time, he or she sets up stop losses and take profits. And sometimes not really for some reason. So I am not really sure what is the pattern here, but as long as it works. Down here, you can see that most profits are made on buying, a little bit on selling as well. It's a net profit still. And certainly most profitable instrument here is British pound and Australian dollar for sure. And the most profitable volume here is 5 lots. All right, so this was quite nice account. Of course, this is a specialist on one certain Forex pair. And yeah, we will see how this trader will do on his or her FTMO account. This is the second verification that we are going to look at for $100,000 still. The beginning of this trading period was not really that fortunate, but then from this point on it was pretty okay. As was the case with our previous traders, this trader took just 10 trading days. Max daily loss and max loss, interestingly enough, are the same number. And that probably means that this trader went into a little drawdown, probably at the beginning of the trading period, and then there was no higher drawdown than this. This time executed 30 trades using 40 lots. The average risk reward ratio is still very nice, it's 2, and the win rate is 60%. I still quite dislike these trades, but what can you do? And other than that, it's actually, the rest is very nice, I have to say. This time in the trading journal, we can see that it's more colorful because this trader is executing buys and sells using multiple instruments actually, but mostly Forex combined with a little bit of gold. And most of the time stop losses are set, but take profits not always, or pretty much most of the time. This is still a day trader. Now, for example, this position was opened overnight, but you know, it's not a huge volume, so that's not an issue. Most profits are definitely, actually, basically all of the profits are made on buying, and the most profitable instrument here is, once again, GJ. So once more, we are looking at a trader that is specializing on British pound and Japanese yen. This is, I think, second one for this video, so that's quite interesting. And of course, we will see this trader trading on his or her FTMO account. Okay, so this is the last account that we are gonna look at today, and that's actually quite nice because this one is more interesting. This time it's for $25,000. Now there is huge dip at the beginning, but I actually quite like to see these dips. They are not really that fortunate for the trader and his or her psychology, but at the same time, you know, when the trader gets out of this, that means that he or she really knows their psychology game and they are just able to trade for real. So that's always quite nice to see. You can actually see that if this trader reached $160 more on his or her drawdown, this account would be actually a failure. But luckily, I assume that this trader was just able to handle the stress and the pressure and, for example, stopped trading for the day and went on and successfully finished the trading period. So that's always very nice to see. Down here, we can see that this trader executed 41 positions using just 13 lots. Now, this is quite low, but at the same time, this account is just for $25,000. Now, the average risk reward ratio is 1.87 and the win rate is 53%. The daily summary here is more colorful. but still the volume is not distributed very nicely. Most of the volume is stacked at the beginning of the trading period, but most profits are actually made in the middle of the trading period. Now regarding the instruments, this trader trades Bitcoin, also some gold, and indices as well, so maybe that explains the low volume. And as far as I can see, this trader doesn't really mind if the positions are held overnight, but at the same time these positions are not really that huge. One more thing that I don't really like to see here is that this trader doesn't really use those stop losses, and neither does he use those take profits as often as they could be, but what can you do? And of course it's always up to you how you want to trade, so there you go. Either way, most profits are made on selling. There are also profits made on buying, and the single most profitable instrument right here is definitely gold. Okay, so this is it for this one. This was a little more dangerous than the previous account, but of course it's always up to you how you want to trade as long as it works, and we will see these traders on their FTMO account. Of course, you can leave any feedback for us down in the comment section, subscribe to our FTMO YouTube channel, follow FTMO on all social media, and as always, trade safe.